Hi, my name is Silvia, and I love lemons. They give an experience like no other can. I'm pretty sure everyone here has tried a lemon before. Some might find it taste unpleasant, but we all know for sure that it is sour. And sometimes life just goes that way. Sometimes life just strikes you with an overwhelming sense of complications, and sometimes life just throws lemons at you. I remember this one time during a basketball game. I was tailing behind my opponent who was dribbling the ball, sprinting down the court. The score was down 25 to 30. Yes, we were behind, but because of this, I told myself that I had to get that ball. Back then, I would never let someone take the basketball away from me. Back then, I guess you could say I was too confident. I thought I had high pain tolerance. I thought I was made of steel. I thought I was invincible. My life was pretty much lemon free at that point. I was so absorbed with the fact that I had to block the ball away from her that when I jumped up to block the ball, I lost balance. I didn't want to take the fall, so I used my left leg to push myself up to regain balance. But then I felt a sharp pain in my left leg. It came with two very distinctively memorable snapping sounds, and it went like this. I dropped to the floor. Then I tried to get myself back up, but I just sat there on the floor while clutching my leg. I couldn't move at all. All I wanted to do was just to get back in the game, but every move felt like a deep paper cut. At this point, I was sobbing, gasping for air, but not crying because who wants to see someone cry over something so minor? At this point, I've caused a big commotion, but the game had to go on. They scooched me over to the side where I sat there in unbearable pain. I watched as they resumed the game, watching the rest play through my teary eyes. By the time the medics came over, they asked me all sorts of questions. What happened? How did you fall? Can you still walk? They even offered to call an ambulance, but obviously I declined because who I didn't want to face embarrassment of being carried out on a stretcher bed over what I thought was a minor injury. That would be extra sour, like a whole bag of lemons. After the game, the players came over to check up on me, to which I told them that I was okay. But deep down, I knew at this point things were about to get a lot sour. I guess I just didn't like the feeling of empathy being crowded onto me. That night, I barely crawled back home because obviously I couldn't walk. And that night, I got back just to experience the worst night of my life. The next morning, I went to the doctors for an MRI scan, and the results came back. And to those who don't know what your knee looked like in an MRI scan, here you go. On the report, the distinctive words torn ACL stood out to me in bold. Later on, the doctors explained that the ACL is a ligament that stabilizes the knee joint. When the doctors told me the sentence, my eyes almost popped out of my sockets. Doctor, does that mean that I will never be able to walk again? Am I disabled? He replied that I will need surgery. He said that this will affect my growth in one leg when I grow old, but and this will create a big impact when in the future. But then a strange look struck across his face. He turned to me again and told me to come back in a week to redo my scan because he suspected that my ACL wasn't fully broken. He pointed to my so called ACL that I couldn't see because of a bunch of goop, that the image was too blurry. And best believe, every night of that whole week, I prayed and prayed that by some miracle that my ACL was still attached. Being towed around wasn't my ideal thought of fun, except for the free elevator passes, of course. But was it really worth the feeling of being so vulnerable and reliable? No. I hated the fact that I had to ask people for help. I hated the fact that I slowed them down. I hated the fact that I thought I made them think that they were responsible for me. In the end, that week had caused a big hit on my self esteem. I was blooming with hopefulness a few days after my second MRI scan. When I sat down in front of my doc, he told me the news. It was still hanging by the thread and was still attached. I was jumping in joy until he told me that I also had to draw about 100 milliliters of excess blood from my knee without anesthetic. Just like that, my journey of recovery started. I was told that it would take a few good months for me to start running, walking, and even a full year before I even think of running again. Flash forward, in the end, it only took me 3 months to start walking and 6 months to start running. Every time I play basketball, I can still feel the soreness in my knee. And sometimes, those are the times when it brings back the sweet and sour memories. Those were the times that I squeezed those lemons tight and made a sweetly sour glass of lemonade. Like how I finally realized that asking for help does not make you look weak. And I realized that the real ones were always the ones who stayed behind to help. And I realized that I was not, in fact, made of steel. Looking back, I am so thankful to have such a fast recovery, and obviously for my ACLs to be still somehow attached. This is just a small lesson I've learned in my life. I'm sure everybody here has faced hardships before. But the important thing is you heal from them and learn. Through this process of a series of unfortunate events, I found a new me, a new individual who is not afraid to ask for help, someone who overcame a tough situation and is better for it. So the next time when life gives you lemons, remember the speech and squeeze those lemons. Learn from experience, and you won't even have to tear your ACL first. Thank you.